lofty price predictions with regard to Pulsechain, given how much money has been sacrificed. And to touch on that, so that people can have a respect for market dynamics, regardless of the amount of money that has been sacrificed, there's no direct indicator of the selling pressure that can be extrapolated from that behavior. What it does indicate, however, is that some people found the asset valuable, and there's probably nothing that has changed in the value proposition of Pulsechain from then to now. So rather than fudding yourself out worrying about people selling vast amounts of a deflationary fixed supply token, it's probably more likely that people will buy productive assets such as a layer one blockchain that services and potentially infinite number and volume of productive developments and projects that'll be launching. As we know in the Hex community, we have several notable hexagons who have already made products that they will be bringing to Pulsechain. We have Pulse LN up here, who's actively building to help adoption of the chain. But I just find it kind of hilarious when we start to have conversations about, hey, over $1 billion has been sacrificed for this thing, as if there's only $1 billion in the entire world, and as if nobody's ever, went back for a second Coca-Cola. So when you think about why you got into your investment to begin with, I'm sure there's a part of you that can't wait to sell for massive profits and live the dream life. But if you understand that that's how you get to the dream life, then you probably also understand that if some is good, more is better. And that's often how people behave with their investments. Additionally, there's a massive ball of energy, economic energy, that has different regulatory standards and restrictions than the average retail investor who could have sacrificed, as well as different risk tolerances where people are not willing to YOLO $100 million into a project without any proof that it actually works or will ever become deployed. So tons of money has been sacrificed, but magnitudes more is waiting to get involved.
Of a blockchain releasing, a blockchain forking, and being able to invest and being able to sacrifice. And just to segue the conversation back into Pulse, you guys were speaking on, onboarding from fiat into crypto, and we had the sister come on, and she posed the question to y'all of pretty much regulation. And I teach people, you know beware of these exchanges that are allowing you to mix with colorable money, with fiat. I think that is like the number one issue that we're seeing is, platforms claiming to be decentralized, but then they're letting you, you know, purchase the what are private currencies, right? With these different forms of fiat that exist, and that's mixing public and private. Because from my understanding, we came over here to deal with private currencies. We didn't come over here to still be dealing with fiat. Now, mind you, I know that we're kind of at a crossroads right now where these two systems are merging. But I really want people to start understanding, the power in crypto, and we're being given another opportunity to be the private bank once again. Even though we were born that way, I tell people oftentimes that I was not born understanding my role as a private banker. My family didn't understand it. I grew up in public housing, the low end, and I had to learn these things. And so, through my own path, um, I've come into this information, and it just seems like we're being given a second chance right now for anybody that can see it, for anybody that's willing to study and put in the time. And when I came on giving you guys your flowers, I'm like, I'm extremely pleased with the discussion, because you guys are talking trust. You guys are talking energy as currency. That was just like, yes. You know what I'm saying? That's like you're speaking my language, and I don't really hear people talking like this too often. So it's just good to be amongst other big thinkers, people that you know truly know what they're doing, that are looking at privacy, taking privacy seriously. And the segue, here go the segue, post chain, just the way that Richard Hart has set this thing up, you know, there is no expectation of compensation. We're not dealing with a security. So I'm extremely happy with how this thing, being at the forefront of this. And it has nothing to do with belief at this point. It's just about understanding the information that's being conveyed to you. And so I just want to encourage everybody to continue listening to these gentlemen because, even especially if they're recording these conversations, listen back to them, turn them on in the car ride, listen to what they're really telling you. Because they're giving it away for free. They're not charging you for this conversation that was just had, and it's extremely valuable information that they're conveying to you. Um, but yeah, so I love how you guys were speaking on, the onboarding. I tell people to, find you a network. Like when I get on these social media platforms, I'm networking with people. I'm meeting trustworthy people, people that speak my lingo. And I tell my people, you can onboard yourself and others peer to peer. There's no reason to use these centralized exchanges at all. Doing that is just still having that old mindset. And at the end of the day, you're playing yourself, in my opinion. And I know not everybody wants to be all as DeFi'd out as we are, but we're just using this for what it was meant to be used for, and we're trying our best to help people see it for what it is. Um, but you guys gave me some other game to look into with I believe it was the trust token or something like that. Um, Also, because like I said, I tell people, peer to peer or using the older Bitcoin ATMs, not the newer ones. I teach a lot of privacy stuff, ways to get into the game, but I'm gonna have to go and listen back to the recording to find out what that token was, because that's just another way that we can get in privately, if I understood that correctly. But yeah, I'll let you guys take over the floor, man. I could talk all day. Appreciate you guys.
All good, man. Appreciate you coming up and talking with us. In fact, we might as well segue just because we have you on stage. If you don't mind talking, Pulse LN, just about some of the alternative onboarding opportunities, specifically with regard to getting into Pulse Chain. If you don't mind, kind of showing a little bit.
Yeah, sure, guys. Is my mic clear?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we're just building a simple service that allows you to go from fiat to a service like Cash App to our service straight to PLS, or Pulse Chain's native token, in a few seconds, right? We want this to be easy, we want it to be fast, and we want it to be as cheap as possible. So what we designed was a system that used the Lightning Network, and yeah, so in a few seconds, if your exchange is willing, they can you can just withdraw from Cash App, Kraken, whatever other BitGo. There's a lot of services, maybe 100 services right now that allow you to change fiat into Bitcoin for pretty cheap rates and allow you to withdraw using the Lightning Network. And the great thing about the Lightning Network is you can move transactions very cheaply. So we're not really pushing people to use Bitcoin. We're really just using the highway that Bitcoin has. And because the Lightning Network is so fast and because our system is so quick to do these transactions, you have very little exposure to Bitcoin's volatility, right? How much does Bitcoin move in about 10 to 20 seconds? Not very much, right? Most of your fiat will make it safely across their rails for this journey in that short period of time, and you won't suffer any loss. So one thing that we really saw when we were listening to people in rooms, or one thing that we really heard, was that there were a lot of people from around the world that did not have enough money to actually make the safe journey across Ethereum's waters with the amount of capital they had, right? At one point, I think you had fees that were in the $50 to $100 range. And some of these people, their savings, their monthly savings are in the $50 to $100 range. So they were trying to get on the Hex, they were trying to stake, they were trying to do all these things, but they couldn't do it. So the system that we built, we've done testing. The testnet is up. We're testing transactions that are a tenth of a penny, and those transactions are settling in seconds, right? So those people can be serviced now, right? They can go directly from wherever they are. They can go, let's say they have mainnet Bitcoin, they can just go directly to a wallet. That wallet will move automatically that Bitcoin to the Lightning Network, come to our service. Within seconds, they're in PLS. Or if they have some sort of exchange or service that can do a withdrawal on the Lightning Network. A lot of people in El Salvador, for example, maybe in the Congo, they fall in that category. Other countries, they're getting that kind of access to that kind of service. Yeah, they can do the same thing. So we're not going to do fractions of a penny transactions, right? That's it's maybe too low, but when we go live, we'll probably be in the $1 to $5 range as far as the lower limit. And if you're in the low end of the I guess the economic scale, or whatever you want to call it, income scale, you can basically use our service and get the vast majority of your funds across the system. And the thing is, the other thing that I noticed, I came on the tail end of you talking about bridges and things. I think those bridges are great, but one thing that I noticed when we were thinking about how many hops you have to do on Ethereum to get across a bridge and get to Pulsex and stuff like that, for somebody moving $50, I think they're not going to make it, right? it's way too expensive for somebody. So if you're in that range, if you're $50 to $500 or something like that, this is a perfect service for you, especially when we just launched, right? We're going to have those types of limits, max limits, and then in the future, as we grow, we'll increase them to $1,000, $5,000 range. And what we did was we actually polled thousands of users. We found out that they want a DCA on a regular basis, anywhere from $500 to $5,000, right, weekly or monthly basis. So that is our target, right? We're going to get around 5,000 at some point within the first year, and yeah. So I think it's a great DCAing solution. If you don't want to touch Ethereum, if you just want to do like a 2-hop transaction, you can go directly from Cash App to our service, or if you want a little more privacy, you can go from Cash App to Lightning Wallet and then to our service. But the service is available. Testnet's available. Feel free to jump on and test it right now. And also, there's free Bitcoin. There's a free Bitcoin faucet. The Bitcoin side is live. We don't have Pulse yet, so we're using TPLS, Test Pulse. But the Bitcoin side is live. There's a faucet. Take 10 Satoshis and move it through our service and see how you feel.
Thank you, brother. Really appreciate that. I think it's important that people know all the different doors and windows and sidewalks we have leading to the ecosystem. Different folks come from different backgrounds, and there's no one size fits all in crypto. There's a lot of different nuance and considerations to be made. So really appreciate that.
Hey, gentlemen. Oh, go ahead, fam. I was wondering. So one thing that I have a problem with on layer 2s is like something that I noticed with Matic is it can't really keep up with the current demand right now. So I'm wondering, is there any type of do we have any information on how post chain will hold up? Because I think it's going to be a lot of people pouring in there. We've seen a lot sacrificed so far, and so I'm just wondering, do we have any type of speculation or information on how this thing will be able to handle the demand, or do we just kind of gotta wait? Like I said, it's my first time experiencing this, so
Yeah,
I'm just
you're
curious.
totally fine, brother. It's important to keep in mind, like, there's a couple of variables in play here. Let's say that, first of all, Pulse Chain's a layer 1. Matic is technically a layer 1, although I could also make the argument it's layer 2 with you. But that's like just me being an asshole. the variables that we should keep in mind are how many users are really using the network. What is the real congestion rate? If you were to assume that 100% of the average of, take the last 5 days, rolling 5 day average, transactions on Ethereum were to immediately populate on Pulsechain, that's probably not super logical because there's that many users of Ethereum versus any alternative chain. But let's just take it and let's say, hey, day one, we're already as good as the fully matured Ethereum network that maybe has had a little bit of reduced activity with increased gas fees. You still have increased throughput on the network itself. So I'm not sure if you're familiar, but the blocks are larger and the block times are faster than Ethereum. And so even if you had the exact same amount of traffic, you're able to service that and then some. So it's not going to be an immediate issue. Even in an edge case where there's some tremendous amount of like day one excitement, the majority of the economic energy is being airdropped and already exists on the chain, or is being airdropped and is the coins of the chain. And then you have to ask yourself, how much benefit is there to executing 1,000 trades on speculating on the price of PLS in that first 24 hours? Did anybody make a 10,000x on the first day of Ethereum? Nah. So there's time. There's still a time requirement and component, an adoption component that will be. It'll take real observable time. You'll notice the needle moving when congestion is increasing, but right out of the gates, we can already service Ethereum's traffic and then some. So it's nothing I would worry about. And even in the weird case where tons of people came over immediately, there's just not really there's not a sustainable economic incentive for them to trade rapidly on Pulse Chain. There's just simply not that much volatility yet for them to capture profits in any meaningful way. It takes time.
Hey guys, I really appreciate the high IQ discussion here, especially funding Jim and Pulse LN. That sounds really interesting. Definitely, if people can quickly get into the Pulse network. I think looks like you still have a sacrifice on your website or something. Do you know how will the Pulse LN token be used? Is it part of a function of your transactions, or is it just a token to support raising the money? The other thing I wanted to bring up, if anyone has any connections with Binance or something, I just think how much more traction would Pulse get if somehow Binance agreed to list everyone's balance on in their wallets on Binance, their Pulse balance as well. Straight away people would see that visual. Holy shit, I've got this in the Pulse network. So if we can make that happen, I think Pulse would really take off.
Hey Kyle, yeah. So the PLN token is the token you're talking about. That's the Pulse LN token. That actually collects all the fees. So 100% of the fees that are collected in PLS are used to back the PLN token. And so the PLN holders will get 100% of the fees for all the transactions. People who hold the PLN token will get a discount on exchanges. And if you're participating in the referral program, like you're sending people to the service, you get a referral bonus. And if you're holding the token, you also get an extra payment because you're holding the token. So you get PLS on both ends. So there is kind of a small little ecosystem there that kind of services PLN holders. But that's the main function of it right now.
Well, awesome, and yeah, it's good when the token has a function like this. I think 1inch has a token, but I don't think it has any use. But yeah, no, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds like some crazy utility. Ooh, I gotta get into that. Well, I appreciate y'all's time today, man. I gotta smash up out of here, but I'm definitely gonna stay locked in with you, with all of y'all, man. You guys, I love the conversation, and yeah, y'all have a wonderful night.
Dude, brother, appreciate you coming in.
Hey, I was just gonna ask about Kyle's second part to his question. Was there some thing where Binance was actually giving people their tokens or not?
No, I just think that would be a really good idea if we can make it happen. If we could say, hey, these belong to your clients, if you should be giving them their tokens and they should list them on their wallet address area in Binance, and then boom, you've all of a sudden got this massive market of people with Pulse derivative coins.
Even something as simple as setting up a bridged Pulsex and cake pool as almost like this, hey, look at us, new kids on the block. We think our DEX token is better than your DEX token. Like, that's a pretty valuable asset to be putting up for a liquidity provider.
That's a perfect fucking pair. Let's see who outperforms who.
Yeah, and then it's like, holy shit, man, if my cake's not doing as well, plus I'm learning about the tokenomics of this direct competitor, hey, fuck, maybe I gotta just swap. And then, you know, that liquidity provider is going to eat the impermanent loss, but it won't be a zero. It's not going to bring their value to zero by any means. They're just going to give up some value for less value. But that onboarding could, in turn, take the remainder of their bags to a whole new level, potentially.
I think it's interesting how Richard Hart calls it an airdrop when it's not really an airdrop. It's almost like hold your keys, double what you own.